No one believed the horrors of Nazi Germany 50 years ago, or of Cambodia more recently, until after the fact. The horrors in Tibet are happening now. In October 1988, China signed a UN document against torture and other inhuman or degrading treatment or punishments. Amnesty International in summer 1990 reported that Chinese militants were consistently violating the human rights of Tibetans and that Tibetans are systematically tortured. Amnesty named several prison officials involved with torture and relayed this information to the Chinese government, who denied the facts. These are documented facts, submitted to many governments and organizations, including US Congress, the United Nations, Amnesty International, Asia Watch, and the International Committee of the Red Cross. Yet no government officials are putting their feet down and saying, "Get out of Tibet, China. Stop violating the human rights of Tibetans and your own people, or we will stop trading with you." In 1987, US Newsweek foreign correspondent John Avedon said in a report he submitted to Congress, China has turned Tibet into a huge military zone dominating Central Asia, riddling it with at least 17 radar stations, 14 major airfields, 20 airstrips, and vast underground bases from east to west.
From the early 60s, the Tibetan people had given reports about testing of nuclear missiles. Nobody believed us at the time. People laughed at us. But then other independent sources began to hear about what was happening. And it is significant that in 1985, when students of Eastern Turkestan, the Muslims, demonstrated in Urumqi, Peking and Shanghai and complained about people suffering from nuclear contamination because of tests taking place not only in their country but across the border in Tibet. The response of the Chinese government at that time was very significant. They did not deny. They only said that reports of these contamination is not true because they take all necessary precautions. Now later, it's not just a question of testing nuclear missiles. People began to hear that there were in fact large number of nuclear missiles placed in Tibet. A number of independent sources, I believe some of them based on Western intelligence sources, have indicated that China has today 25% of their nuclear arsenal placed in various parts of Tibet.
The horrors of Hiroshima are not so long ago.
After Chancellor Kohl's visit to Tibet, there were some reports about China dumping nuclear waste in Tibet. This began to confirm some information we had received earlier in the late 70s about huge areas in northern and northeastern Tibet being cordoned off, nomads being forbidden to graze their cattle in these areas, and people who did stick around the area suffering from loss of hair, loss of eyebrows, deformed children being born, a lot of the cattle and sheep aborting at a very high rate, fish dying in lakes. We followed this up a little bit more, and in 1988 I came across some more information in Switzerland. We learned that the government of Switzerland, perhaps I think there were other governments involved, but we came to know of Switzerland striking some kind of a similar deal like West Germany with China. The essence of this deal was that Switzerland would buy uranium from China on the condition that China takes back the waste resulting from that quantity of uranium. We appealed to Swiss members of parliament and went to witness the debate. And it was true. The government was trying to push this deal, which, as we saw it, was one with double interest for both parties concerned. Switzerland would get uranium at a cheaper price and would not have to face the problem of disposing the nuclear waste. China had a double interest in earning much needed foreign exchange by selling uranium, of which they're mining a lot in Tibet. Then they would also make more money when they took back the waste. Now, the fear in all of this is that the waste was going back into Tibet. Firstly, because Tibet is a huge country with a very small population. Secondly, because of China's total disregard for the Tibetans. They look to us as savages and barbarians who do not deserve to live. Unless, of course, we became totally Chinese. Then, finally the Chinese government felt, since the uranium came from Tibet, that is where the waste should go. And this is a problem not just affecting 6 million Tibetans. It is one that will affect large part of mankind in South and Southeast Asia. Tibet being the source of all major rivers in Asia, if one of these rivers should be polluted, what will happen? Various scientific studies have also indicated that Tibet could be contributing to the flow of the monsoon winds. If the monsoon winds are contaminated, polluted by nuclear waste, it will bring death and disaster to millions and millions of people. And I cannot imagine how people here can feel far away enough not to be concerned.
A more recent report from the Human Rights Division of the Tibetan government in exile stated that a large number of missiles were seen being transported by train in Tibet. This report also stated that a huge underground factory producing nuclear bombs, missiles and torpedoes was in operation under a mountain called Donggala, south of Lake Kukenar in Amdo.
How can the United States and the Soviet Union hope to eliminate the threat of nuclear war by just removing their own nuclear missiles, when on the other hand, out of their control, free from the prying eyes of the international media, China is producing nuclear missiles of their own. They are not just producing them, they are selling them to whoever will pay up, even to both sides of the enemy, to Iran and Iraq. Now there is reports that China may be giving nuclear technology to Pakistan. That will add to the arms race that is taking place in that part of the world. They are becoming a growing menace and a threat to that part of the world and to the rest of the world.
No one else wants nuclear waste in their backyard. Tibetans aren't given a choice. One wonders how this nuclear waste is transported, by land, sea or air, by unmarked trucks, trains, by submarine, or does it fly over our backyard? A good question for political leaders. John Avedon's report also said that the northeastern province of Amdo has been converted into the planet's largest prison, capable of holding up to 10 million prisoners. Many Tibetans who peacefully demonstrate against Chinese occupation are there. Meanwhile, world leaders are afraid to confront China for fear of retaliation and for want of increased trade benefits with China's 1.6 billion people. The Chinese government claims that Tibetans are happy with their reforms. One finds this difficult to believe with 55 demonstrations since 1959. Tibet's exiled government has requested that the military be removed from Tibet and an internationally monitored free election be held. Your involvement is needed to make this happen.
For many years, the Tibetan people felt abandoned. We were treated like political lepers. Nobody wanted to touch the Tibetan issue. Everybody had a double standard. Racism in South Africa is wrong, but it is not wrong when it is practiced by China in Tibet. The Namibian people have the right to freedom. We are happy they were free. But why the Tibetan people do not have the right to freedom? I think individual Americans who are free from such pressures from power politics and big business could take the issue of Tibet, show some real concern, talk to other people about Tibet, write to your senators, and at a, I think, more important level, join and be active in these various Tibet support groups. And I can tell you, knowing how people in Tibet feel, it does help.
When the forces of death loom larger than the forces of life, people lose peace, security, being at one with the universe and at peace with oneself. The time has come for all powers to put their cards on the table and for individuals to wake up before it is too late and do something. What is happening in Tibet could affect us all. All is changeable, nothing is constant, says the Nirvana Sutra. Then we can non-violently change this Chinese-Tibetan situation into a seed for transformation.